Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming one of the stars of the classic 1982 horror seminal classic, The Slumber Party Massacre, Debra De Liso. Debra is coming on the show today to talk about making that movie, talking about some of the other movies she did, and some of the TV shows she did as well. She was on Sledgehammer. She did the horror movie Iced with another guest of mine, Elizabeth Gorsey. And she's done a lot of other jobs too. She's been a ballet dancer. She did art direction for the movie Creatures, which starred two other guests of mine, Diane Salinger and Marie Lauren. And she's written over 300 one-person shows. I don't know how this woman does it. She is amazing. I can't believe it. So I'm having her on the show today to talk about all that stuff. So here is my interview with Debra De Liso. Hey, Debra, welcome to the show.
Hey, Tommy, hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. Had a wonderful class this morning, actually 2 classes over at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. I'm directing 19 dramaturging and directing 19 original solo plays there, along with my classes at USC.
Oh, that is incredible. God, I don't know how you do it. That is just incredible.
It's a lot, but I just, it's kind of like I'm doing what I did as a kid, which is, like it was my parents' garage, and it was like,
yeah,
hey, let's tell stories. It's the same stuff, but I get paid for it, and it's a joy. It's really a joy. It's an honor.
Yeah, wow, that's just amazing. It's such a great honor. Thank you for taking the time today.
Well, I love that you let me hear your interview with Marion Ross.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to hear the whole thing yet, but it was darling, and I was like, oh, Tommy, he's just a sweet person. I would love to get to know you, so thanks for reaching out to me.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm very proud of that interview, and so are my parents. That's like they're proud of all the interviews I've done, but that's the one that has really gotten to them, because, Happy Days was a huge show back in the day.
Exactly. And she's sort of like the neighborhood mom to all of us.
Yes. She even called me back 2 hours later to tell me that I was a gentleman and she loved talking to me.
Oh, gosh. Well, pat yourself on the back.
I might do that, but I also might break my arm. So, going back in time, I was reading that starting at age 12, you were a competitive gymnast and a ballet dancer, but long before that, did you gravitate toward acting?
I did, and I was blessed with an aunt, my Aunt Marie, my dad's sister, who did community theater up in Northern California at a little theater called the Maskers Playhouse in Point Richmond in the San Francisco Bay Area. And so I grew up watching theater, and I don't know, it must have been like a 60-seat playhouse. And there was my auntie playing all of these roles. And I got to play Tiny Tim in A Christmas Carol. Mm-hmm. So my first role, I was cross-dressing and playing a boy. And when I got to use a crutch, and I made the audience laugh, and I made them cry, and I was like, I am hooked. Oh, my God, I love this. And so, and my aunt and uncle never had kids, and so me and my 2 sisters were like their girls as well, and they had a little bit more money than my folks had. My mom, my mom and dad met in the Philippines during World War II.
Oh.
And my mom was a nurse, and my dad was a medic, and he would bring, like, the wounded soldiers to a field hospital, and my mom would care for them. I was named Debra after the actress Deborah Carr from the movie From Here to Eternity.
Of course.
Yeah. And so it was always very romantic for me. But unfortunately, when my mom was only 38 and I was 5, she had a cerebral hemorrhage and a stroke. And so she went from being this like super mom, Nurse June, mother of 3, to a disabled woman that sat on the couch and watched game shows, basically. But my folks didn't have a lot of money. And so my aunt and uncle were the ones that bought me the ballet lessons. And they bought me braces. I needed braces. And they would buy our school clothes in every fall.
Right.
And they're really responsible for me even thinking I could be an actor. And so they're both gone now, but I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for that. And then my ballet training really helped me get strong. My dad had a problem with alcohol. Mm-hmm. So getting out of the house and getting out of the little, conflict of the war zone that was at the house, going out into classes and making myself strong, and then becoming a gymnast. I was a competitive gymnast from the age of 12 to 20. And that just made me feel very independent. Mm-hmm. And my first job was teaching tumbling to toddlers when I was 16 years old. And I remember I made $6 an hour, and that was really good money back then. I was like, I'm making $6 an hour helping little kids do cartwheels. Yeah. So, it's like when, in life, like one thing leads to the next and the next skill set, and that's how my teaching started.
Wow. Yeah, alcoholism's a big one in my family too, so don't feel bad.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's
and
okay.
It's a disease. I love my dad. I adored him, actually, and so it was really sad that he didn't know when to stop,
Yeah. I just celebrated 5 years sober following my car accident.
Oh, congratulations. That's great. Oh, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, yes.
Wonderful. Yeah. Yay. So you had to, hit the wall, huh?
Yeah, well, I got hit by a car while me and an ex-friend of mine, we were out drinking one night, and he fell asleep at the wheel. I fell asleep in the passenger seat, and we ended up in the middle of the road. We got out okay, but then the car collided with ours, and it hit us, and I got the worst of the injuries.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. Are you okay? Did you recover?
Oh, yeah, I've recovered, I got some minor stuff going on, but I'm just very lucky, and I'm very healthy for the most part.
Okay, excellent. You got more work to do, right?
Lots more work.
You're still here for a reason, yeah.
Yes, lots more work.
Yeah.
So you're originally from Alameda?
So I was born, what we call Oakland, yeah. My folks, I think, just had a little place in Oakland, and then when I was 4, we moved to Walnut Creek, which is East Bay. Yep. And, beautiful, beautiful place to be raised, rolling hills and the foothills of Mount Diablo. I feel like that's like where my tribe is from, Mm-hmm. And then when I was 20, I moved to Los Angeles. It was a big leap of faith because I had a beloved boyfriend, for 3 years. My boyfriend Buck was, wonderful, wonderful, really sweet young man. But something in me was saying, and I studied. I went to Diablo Valley College, a community college, and I had an amazing teacher, Jim Kirkwood, who had studied with the great actor-director Michael Chekhov. Mm-hmm. And Jim said to me, you're talented. You're talented. What are you doing here? Go to New York, go to Los Angeles, don't stay here. And when you have a teacher that believes in you, it makes you believe in yourself. And so I'll point out, here's a little, I want to just go on a sideline. I have a great example of that right now. So at USC, I teach improv and I teach solo performance. And one of my students last year, Hamza, who's from Pakistan and is an engineering major, got brave and took an improv class. And he was so delightful, and I just really kind of saw this spark of talent in him, and he was funny and endearing because he was just so honest. And I said, you should take solo performance. You should write your own play. Oh, gosh. Oh, Deborah. Oh, no. No, I'm not a writer. I said, you're writing. You're in improv class. This is playwriting on your feet, you know. Mm-hmm. And he goes, really, really? And I said, yeah. So he took the class. He wrote an incredible piece about feeling like a loser and how his attempts to try to get dates with girls and how they would fail, and the voice in his head that kept telling him, you know,
yeah,
you're a loser. Nobody cares about you. Who's going to go on a date with you? And his wonderful trials and tribulations, and then finally at the end telling that voice to shut up. Guess what? He got called. I said, okay, so I can't tell you the project because it's a big secret, but he got called by Disney. He said to me in my office hours yesterday, Deborah, you have to coach me. I've never been on an audition before. So we have an audition with Disney for a role where they're looking for a young Pakistani boy. And I can't believe, you know how hard that is to get?
Yeah. I can imagine.
So yeah. I'm so thrilled for him. But that is just like a little example of going back to my teacher at a community college telling me, you're talented. And so I know personally how important it is, the voices of our teachers. And so I uprooted, from my family and moved to Los Angeles with a girlfriend. And we got a little apartment in Pasadena. And little by little, and I enrolled at Cal State Los Angeles, and I got my first degree. I got a bachelor's degree in theater, and was blessed with amazing teachers. Oh. And then started auditioning, working. I waited tables. I paid for my own tuition, waiting tables, and was a waitress, which is also a very good experience for actors. You meet a lot of people. Yeah.
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 I'm born and raised in San Mateo, California.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know all these cities I'm talking about.
Yes, as a matter of fact, on Sunday I was at a Comic-Con in Walnut Creek.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, now we live here in Redding, California for the last 3 years, and we're trying to get out now. The medical system here is corrupt. And plus, plus I want to move to LA because I want to, go further with show business. Get myself an in-studio, on-camera podcast.
Oh, I love it. Okay, yeah. Well, let's keep in touch. We'll see how I can help you.
Absolutely, of course. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, but oh my God, yeah! I made a couple attempts to move to LA in my early 20s that didn't pan out, and then I almost did last July. I was only going to go out there for like 3 or 4 months because I had been offered a movie role when I was visiting last year, and it's still pending. There's no financing yet, but the person I was going to be staying with, she got in trouble with the law. And so, God was on my shoulder on that one. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
There's a comedy. I mean, I hate to laugh, but
it is funny though.
You're out of the danger, so it's like it is kind of comical when you think about it. You're just trying to get a foot in the door, and you end up, with somebody that's in trouble with the law.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was
like a good Will Ferrell premise.
A Will Ferrell premise, yeah.
Yeah, a good Will Ferrell, right? Like he wants to be an actor, and he moves in with somebody, and they get arrested. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's brilliant. But so I was reading that you had went to UCLA and you won a Jack Nicholson Prize for acting. Did he present you with the award?
Oh no, God, I wish. No, no, he didn't. But I'll tell you. So UCLA, they have a program for MFAs, it's the graduate. So after I got my bachelor's, I was teaching at Cal State LA on campus there because I was the head of the physical education department for the LA County High School for the Arts. For 8 years, I taught high school until I said, I lose my voice every year trying to get the kids to be quiet and pay attention to me. And I had done a little bit of college teaching, and I went, oh my God, this is heaven. They pay to be here, they want to be here, and they pay attention. So I went back to school and got my MFA at UCLA and studied with some more brilliant teachers. And Mel Shapiro, the wonderful playwright actor, was the head of the department. And there was an award category. I think the Jack Nicholson Award was the most money that the acting students could win, and it was considered kind of like the Best Actor Award. Mm-hmm. And so it was so, it just made me think, okay, all right, now I've had more than my family and a few teachers tell me I got something here. I'm paying attention. And I didn't get to meet Jack, but he's the one that provided the money for the scholarship. Mm-hmm. And his, the reason, he said, this goes to the person, there were two of us. There was a male and a female. My friend Tim also won it, and it went to the acting students that have the most potential in the creative arts. Mm-hmm. And so, whoa, right? And I do have to say, Tommy, that I, at this point in my life, because I haven't done that much film, I've done some film and television, as you know from my IMDb.
Right.
Thus far in my life, my work on stage, I've been in over 100 different productions.
Right.
My work on stage is what I have been the most proud of. And it's sad because there it is. You're up. You've got a couple of weeks of performances, maybe 6 at the most. Well, when I played Blanche, I think it was 3 months worth of shows. And then it's over. And it's done. And all you have is the memory, a good review, if you were lucky enough to get great reviews. But it's done. And so you have those stories to tell people. But I would have to say that playing Blanche was probably one of the top 3 acting experiences. And I did it, and I actually was pregnant. It was my first 3 months of my pregnancy that I was playing Blanche. So wow. I feel very, very proud. I've got some good critical reviews, some nice critical acclaim for that work, and it'll be fun going down to the South, going to Texas this week. I'm going to Texas.
Nice.
To hear the dialects, because they said, and there were actually 3 other cast members that were actually from the South, and I'm not, but I'm pretty good, got a good ear with dialects. And one reviewer said that she had the best, most authentic Southern dialect, and I thought, oh my gosh, and I'm up here on stage with the real Southerners, so that felt great.
Yeah.
So Blanche, I think, was one of those landmarks for me, because that woman talks for 3 hours. Just to memorize the lines is quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, I do stand-up comedy, and it's really hard sometimes to have your material memorized, but good thing I've always been an instinctual improver, I mean, I took some improv freshman year in high school. That's the extent of it, but I know what that is. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could do, anything like that for 3 hours, though. I mean, that's just would be exhausting.
I didn't know if I could, but once I was cast, I recorded all of my lines, and every time I would drive to rehearsal, I would play my lines like I'm almost, like play music. Mm-hmm. You listen to the radio, you listen to songs, and then suddenly you know the lyrics. Right. I just played it over and over and over again, and then I made, every line she said, I made it very specific to the imagery in my head, and gave myself the subtext of what's the thought under the line. And I'm a very physical actor. When I got my master's degree, I wrote my thesis on the physicalization of a role, and that's not really a word, but it was the best phrase I could come up with to describe in completely embodying a character. Mm-hmm. And now I'm writing a book. I'm writing an acting book right now, as a matter of fact.
Nice.
So I'll send that to you when it's done.
Oh yeah, I would love to read it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got so much, to talk about, Like, I was reading that one of your acting teachers was Ian McKellen.
Yes, Sir Ian was one of my acting teachers, exactly. I'm so lucky. I had seen my husband at the time. We're not married anymore. We're still like best of friends.
Uh-huh.
But, my husband Dan and I saw an audition for not the Royal Shakespeare Company, but the Royal National Theatre summer acting program. And then we saw the people that were part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Eyre, who was the artistic director, Prunella Scales, John Castle, who was in The Lion in Winter, played one of the sons, and Anthony
Mm-hmm.
Hopkins' brother.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, it would be astounding. Well, you had to audition to go to get in. And we both auditioned, and we both got in. But we didn't have the money for both of us. And we very, very generously backed out and said, you need to go. You need to go do this. And I did. And so I was there for one summer. I think it was the summer of 1990. And I studied with those brilliant teachers. And that was when Sir Ian McKellen was doing Richard III, the Hunchback King. And he made a movie out of it, too. He was touring the world. And he was there in London when we were there studying. And so we really got a master class with him. And I'll never forget because we sat in the classroom with him after his performance, and we got to ask him questions. And he drank a whole bottle of wine all by himself. He didn't offer us any, but didn't say a word. I mean, that man could hold his liquor. I was, like, very impressed by that. I was like, what? So that was, just an amazing moment. I wouldn't have pictured that I would have had to just be able to sit down and break apart an acting career with the master himself.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a wonderful, wonderful summer for me.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's funny. He didn't offer you guys any.
No, he didn't offer us any. Yes, we were audience to his drinking. Yes.
So starting with the movie acting roles, according to your IMDb, your first movie was an uncredited dancer in Gene Wilder's The World's Greatest Lover.
Yes, I was, and that was my first film role.
Mm-hmm.
So I had, I can't even remember if I had an agent, but I found out about an audition where they needed gymnasts to play harem girls in The World's Greatest Lover, which was a very, it was a delightful movie. I don't know if you saw it. I don't think that many people have seen it.
I've seen it hundreds of times since I was a little kid.
Oh, you have? Oh, God.
Yeah.
Tom DeLuise was in it,
Candace Azara, who's been on the podcast, she was in it.
Oh, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. And he played Valentino, right? His version of Valentino.
Yeah.
And so I went to 20th Century Fox, with the other girls that could do round off back handspring, back handspring, back handspring. And we were in a basement on a cement floor, and I'm like, this isn't very safe, but damn it, if I have a chance to get into a movie with him, I'm doing this. And I did it. And I did the round off, back handspring, back handspring, back handspring, and I was picked. And so I got to be one of the dancing harem girls. And there is a shot in the movie. It's about maybe 3 seconds long, but I'm in the same shot. I'm in the frame with him, and I'm like, proof I was there. And he was so chill. So when he hired us, he lined the dancers up, and he looks at us really seriously. He goes, "You better be good." And we all laughed. And we got on set. I think I worked 4 days that week, and he was the kind of director that would sit in his director's chair, take off his shoes, and rub his feet while he is calling out instructions for a huge sound stage, 80 extras, the dancing girls, 5 principal actors, and an elephant. And there he is massaging his feet. He set the tone, and we all just were like going, it's a dream come true. we're on this 20th century movie set, pretending like we're back in the 20s, and it was so fun. I had a great time.
Yeah, I heard he was a wonderful man, and I think it's his most underrated movie. I think the reason why it didn't do very well, I think it suffered from the same syndrome that Mel Brooks' silent movie did the year before. It was an antiquated movie genre that I think needed like maybe 10 or 20 more years before it was revisited.
Oh, you may be right about that. That's right.
Yeah.
Right, because the movie that came out a few years ago that won Best Picture was certainly that era.
Right. Yeah, it's a great movie. But how did the beloved cult classic, The Slumber Party Massacre, come into your life?
Okay, so Dan, my husband, who I think was still my boyfriend at that time, was working for New World Pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And I also checked the Drama-Log, which was the casting newspaper, the weekly casting newspaper, and I saw auditions for Sleepless Night. That was the original script name. And that it was written by Rita Mae Brown, who was a novelist that I knew. I thought she was fantastic. She was a lesbian feminist novelist. She wrote A Ruby Fruit Jungle and 6 of One, Southern Discomfort, really excellent books. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh my God, I love this writer. And then it was directed by Amy Chapman, I think was her name. It's Amy Jones. Mm-hmm. But at that time, I think it might still have been Amy Chapman. And so I had to find out. I was like, Danny, New World Pictures is doing this. And he's like, Deb, you gotta go. So I went and auditioned, and it was at Amy's house. And I read the role that I got of Kimberly Clark, which is hilarious because that's like a toilet paper company.
Yeah.
And Amy, I remember Amy saying this to me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine anyone else doing those lines better. And I still have that in my heart, right?
Oh yeah.
So I added that kind of comic. It's like you play it straight. You completely play it straight, but there's just a little camp to it. Bumping up, because in a way it's almost like a satire of Rita Mae Brown writing this slasher film, but she's a lesbian. And it's about the women do end up killing the killer. But ultimately, what happened was it's produced by Roger Corman. And Roger Corman, I'm sure, was right in Amy's ear saying, more blood and guts, more tits and ass. I got to sell this to my market. And so it became an exploitation slasher film with a feminist bent made by women. Mm-hmm. It's its own thing. It is really its own thing. I had a fantastic time making it. It was so much fun to be on that set. And I still have, one of the best friends of my life, Joe Johnson, who later wrote a film called Blizzard of Blood, which was produced and distributed as Iced, and wrote the lead role for me.
Yes.
And Joe and I are still friends.
Yes, we're going to get into Iced, but I wanted to ask you, though, were you already a horror fan before this? I
was. I would say that my favorite genre is psychological thrillers. Mm-hmm. I love films where I don't know what's going to happen. It kind of makes me mad, and I get bored when I can figure it out.
Yeah.
But I was raised on The Twilight Zone.
Oh, yeah, love it.
And it would scare the hell out of me because it was so philosophically provoking. Mm-hmm. And I remember being a kid, like completely in love with it, and then I would go to bed at night and I couldn't sleep by myself in my room. I was like, I would literally do things like, I wrote in one of my plays that I've written, I wrote about going into my parents' room and just checking to see if they had a third eye on their forehead, after those episodes, or just thinking, oh my God, am I really just am I just like a tiny person living in a dollhouse?
Right.
Is the sky real? What are the stars? are those like holes that are poked into a shoebox that I'm actually living in? You know, my imagination was wild. And that TV show would just spark that and make me really think about my existence.
Mm-hmm.
What is this life about? And certainly, am I safe? You know, all of those big questions. And then, as you know, Tommy, I think you can relate to this. You don't feel so safe in a house with an alcoholic.
No.
You know?
No.
Yeah. So, so it provoked me to want to watch these kind of films to maybe follow the way out. Like, how do you survive? How do you get out of this? And I remember one of the main movies that I loved at that time period, because one of my best friends, Kathy Bachman, that lived next door, was telling me about this movie, and it was like a Saturday afternoon. She goes, oh my God, Deb, I saw this movie, and this black and white movie, and there's this woman driving down this road, and all of a sudden she looks at, like, out the window, the radio goes all fuzzy. She looks at the window, and there's this ghoulish face next to her.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes to try to find a place to stay, and she goes to the department store, and all of a sudden she looks around, and the sound goes away from her life, and she ends up going to this carousel,
Mm-hmm.
and it was called the Carnival of Souls. Have you ever seen it, Tommy?
Carnival of Souls?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I love the original one.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The original. And believe it or not, so my friend is telling me about this movie, and we turned on TV, and it was on.
Mm-hmm.
So we were both like, we looked at each other like, oh my God. So we had to watch it. And then that movie was, part of the haunting of me going, well, how do we know that we're really alive?
Oh. Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So all those big questions,
Yeah.
And I love Black Mirror. Do you watch the TV show Black Mirror?
No, I don't watch a lot of TV these days.
That's something you would like to me. It's like the contemporary version of Twilight Zone.
Huh. Check it out then.
So if you ask if I'm a fan mostly of psychological thrillers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of gore. I'm not a big fan of slashers. But I do ask my fans that come to these conventions. I say, well, what is it, guys? What is it? And I think my favorite response came from a young woman who, I believe she had Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that she had people abuse her.
Wow.
And, of course, that made me sick to think of that.
Yeah.
And she goes, but when I saw Slumber Party Massacre and I saw the girls, they killed the killer, and they took care of themselves, and they survived. It made me feel like I could do that.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So I was like, wow, then it's not just titillation, and it's not just violent exploitation and entertainment, that there is this other aspect of it that can help people. So that makes me feel good, because I think of myself as a pretty heartful and kind person. That's how I try to make my choices. And
you come across that way, Deborah.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I don't want to be, it's like I don't want to be the kind of person that's out there just like scaring people for the hell of it.
Yeah.
I saw The Joker. The Joker was hard for me to sit through, but I thought it was a really important film with Joaquin Phoenix. I thought it was extraordinary.
I liked it, but it was just very unsettling for me, I found.
It was. Mm-hmm. Because I think that that ultimately it's about how we've lost kindness in our society. Mm-hmm. And I think it's also about mental illness, mm-hmm. and how, where is that edge of becoming psychotic? I think psychotic is about feeling completely disenfranchised and separate and isolated and like feeling like you don't matter.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I feel that way sometimes. I have my whole life. I've always been a person who did my own thing. I never followed crowds. I got bullied a lot in school, and I still am bullied in some cases, but I don't take that shit.
I'm really sorry to hear that you don't seem like a victim to me at all. You seem like a very strong person who creates his own life.
Oh, thank you.
I will say this to you. This is the teacher in me right now. I think you should write about it. I think you should write about those events and moments of your life, and just bring them out. If you bring them out, look at them, put them on the page, and then look at who you are now, and look at what you have survived and built on and made muscle out of.
Yeah, I've been writing screenplays since I was 12, and I have this one that has.
What?
Yeah, I started young, and I have this one script I'm trying to get made by that guy who offered me that movie role. It has a lot of my own personal feelings towards the difference between real friendship and fake friendship, and it's a horror movie, and I think it's going to be very successful if it gets made.
Well, that sounds fantastic. I love the premise.
Yes, I'm very proud of it. It's by far the best thing I've written, and I can't wait to get that done.
Yes, I'll go see it. That sounds great.
Maybe I can give you a part in it.
I would love that. Are you kidding me? Please. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But when you did this movie, though, did it bother you that with any of the nudity?
Oh, of course it did. I was raised Catholic.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a practicing Catholic. I felt that Catholicism was, or at least in the parish that I grew up in, it was very patriarchal and fear-based. So I stepped away from it once I felt like I could start creating my own belief system.
Mm-hmm.
And
same here.
But okay. We have a lot in common.
We do.
Oh my God. So, but being an ex-Catholic girl and taking my clothes off in a movie, are you kidding me? Talk about nightmares. I kept reliving this scene, where the boys are peeking in through the window. And, I mean, if you look at it now, it's certainly not that graphic. There's a lot of other on just regular television, even much more hardcore. But it haunted me. I was like, why did I do that? Oh my God, I think being in a movie with a script written by a woman and having it directed by a woman, I felt like I can do this, And I was a gymnast, for God's sake, for 8 years. I walked around like in a leotard, so I'm very comfortable with my body. It wasn't bad. Mm-hmm. It was just the idea of being naked so that somebody else could get off on it, and being in
guilty,
or having strangers get off on that, and then also being in a film that was violent against women. Absolutely, the recycling of my action of being in that film. It took its toll on me for a while. Now I am embracing it. I recently went to a screening at the New Beverly Cinema, which is Tarantino's movie house in Hollywood.
Right.
Guess what? It was packed. It was packed. And people loved it because it's still funny and scary. And Amy was there, and David Milburn, one of the other actors. And I was like, I can't believe this has withstood the test of time, and it surely has. So, and then now I go, oh, look at I'm in such good shape in that movie. And, it's like, I can look at it now and go, well, that was me at 25 playing a 17-year-old girl. Mm-hmm. And I did a good job. I'm proud of my acting in the film. So I'm okay with it now. But thank you for asking that question, because I would venture to say almost any woman that it's like part of the job. It's just like, yes, you have this role, but guess what? There's this part of it. It's not an easy decision to make.
Yeah.
And, we're in the day of Me Too, which is a very good thing. Women having their voices, women having more choices. People on sets now coaching people in love scenes so that everybody feels safe. It's about time. It's about time to do all of that. And I'm not a prude. I love a beautiful love scene in a movie, and I love the human body. But it's how it's done, isn't it? It's always how it's done.
Yes. But I'll just say this, though, Deborah, your tan line stole my heart.
Oh. Well, good. I'm glad I stole your heart.
Yeah. The guy who played the killer, Michael Villella.
Yes.
Yeah. What's he like?
Oh, my God. Okay, Michael is a method actor.
Yeah.
And so during the filming of this, he didn't talk to us. He never spoke a word except for in character on set.
Yeah.
And he would literally, like when we were around the craft services table, everybody's relaxing, whatever, he would like be off in the distance behind a bush staring at us. I mean, it was so creepy. It was really smart. It was very, very smart to not like become friendly with the cast. And you should interview him sometime. He's really a good guy.
Oh, it's funny you say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back in January, I reached out to him, and his reply was a thumb up, and that was that. And then I said, does that mean yes? All he did was read it, and that was that.
Oh, so you never got in touch. Well, I'm going to see him this week. He's going to be at the convention with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'll tell him about our interview, okay?
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
I'm happy to promote you to him.
Yeah.
But he even created a character, animal type. He decided his character was like a peacock. And so he walked in a very strange way, and you didn't like watching the film go, oh, he's being a peacock. But if you rewatch it, you go, oh my God, he is like a peacock. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until the rap party afterwards, and he came up to me and he said, I just want to apologize. I have so much guilt for all this torture that I put you girls through. I'm so sorry, but I couldn't really talk to you. And I said, oh my God, Michael, you freaked me out. And it was the right thing. It was the right thing because I didn't have to act. You were on the set, and I was really terrified of you. And so thank you for that. And there was a cool thing that they cut out of the film, but he actually stabbed me in the heart. Uh-huh. And he holds me close to him, and then he stabs me, and then he kind of does like a little dance as I bleed out. Mm-hmm. And they cut it short to keep the chase going, but he was always sad that he didn't get that out because his character would like literally go up to these girls that he's about ready to kill, and he would go, I love you. I love you. Yeah, it was well done. It was well done.
Oh. Do you have any memories of working on Sledgehammer?
Oh, God, yes, I do. Yes. David Roche is a dog.
Yeah. It's actually pronounced Rashi.
It's pronounced Rashi. Am I doing it wrong? Okay, thank you. David Rashi, thank you.
Yeah.
No, he was such a flirt, and we had a great time, and I was the badass, I've seen some pictures of me that I was very buffed, and wore this leather miniskirt and bra with my hair flying like a big flame, and this punker, girl who breaks her boyfriend out of the jail. Mm-hmm. And I had to kind of wrestle with him. And unfortunately, they didn't let me do my own stunts, and I would have to tell you that honestly, I think I was so capable of doing this, like jumping out of a vent and landing on his stunt double, but they had stunt people for both of us, so I didn't get to do my own stunts. But I did sit on him on the ground and wrestle with him, and he kept trying to ask me out. And Dan was there, like a couple of times. He was like, "Who's the boyfriend? Who's the boyfriend? When are we going out?" And I'm like, "Dan, boy, yeah." So we had a fun flirtation with each other, and it was just, Daniel Atias directed it. I think didn't he end up directing a Batman film or something? But it was when he was an up-and-coming director, and I was so pleased because I had to audition. I had to beat out other people, and I got this role. So that was another really, really fun part of my career and a great way to stretch my character range.
Yeah, everyone I've talked to who worked on that show said that they laughed all day, and I was noticing too in this guest starring cast you got Mark Blankfield, who I think is an underrated genius of a comic.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, he played my boyfriend, Flag.
Yeah.
What is he doing? Is he still doing anything?
I interviewed one of his old buddies from the old stage show he did, Bullshot Crummond, and he told me that he basically retired and got out of the business, and he lives in New York, and he's kind of bitter now. But
sorry, I thought he was brilliant. He was so good.
Yeah, it's sad. I loved him in everything he ever did. But yeah, that's what happens sometimes. And then also Clint Howard played a cop in this episode. And John Densmore from The Doors played a janitor.
Oh my God. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Wow. God, tell me, you're so knowledgeable. It's amazing.
I am a savant when it comes to entertainment, I tell you.
Yeah, that's great. You do your homework.
Yes. And you played a ballet dancer in Outrageous Fortune?
Yes. So that was interesting because I auditioned for Arthur Schiller, and I had to out-leap other girls, and I had a nice grand jeté, which is like a split leap, and they literally mopped the floors, and I had to out-leap, and I got the role. And then on the day of the shoot, they had another dancer step in, and so I didn't get to shoot the role. But a friend of mine, actually, so what you see is the leaping of a different ballet dancer. It's not actually me. I got credit for it, though, which was very nice, and I got paid. Mm-hmm. And then there's a leap at the end where the Shelley Long character looks like she's leaping across a canyon.
Yeah.
And it was my friend Alana. And Alana leaped from one semi-truck roof to another, and the camera was underneath. So I know how all of that was done, but it wasn't actually me. I didn't actually end up in the film.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we brought up Iced before. I've talked to Elizabeth Gorsey about this movie, and
good.
She told me she didn't have a good experience. But how was your experience making it?
I had a blast because we were up in Snowbird, Utah, and it was, my friend that wrote it, and Lisa Loring, who was a wild party girl at the time. I'm not in touch with her anymore.
Yep.
So she and I got along great, but she was, she was a little wild. And
yes, she is.
I also was playing opposite her ex-husband, Doug Stevenson.
Yeah.
I think they were soap opera stars together, and that was my first love scene on film. And I felt like I wished it had been shot with a little bit more sensitivity. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but the love scene is not very romantic at all. It's sort of just like, boom, here we are.
Yeah.
Let's get naked. And, So,
yeah.
wasn't crazy about that. But I did, I'm still very fond of that memory of having done that. But that's probably because Joe was and still is one of my best friends. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure why Elizabeth didn't have a great time with it.
Well, I met Lisa Loring at a convention, and I should send you the picture of the two of us. It's really cute.
Yeah.
She kind of had that like, she lived a really hard and wild life quality about her, But Elizabeth told me that she was kind of a diva to her on the movie.
Oh, okay. Well, she was dating Jerry Butler at the time, the porn star.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like showing me, she was like so enamored with him. And, what am I going to say? Like, do you know what you're doing here? I was just trying to be supportive. And she would show me Valentine's that he would send to her and stuff. It was a really, it was kind of a crazy time. But I think the movie, I think it still holds up. It's not, I don't think it's tense or scary or funny as Slumber Party, but I think it's worth watching. I mean, did you see it? Did you watch the movie?
I've seen the movie once, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? Tell me your honest review.
Well, I love bad movies, especially horror. And
good way to say it. Yeah.
I think it could have been handled with a little more finesse and maybe a little more money, but it had a good premise, good possibilities.
Right. It was absolutely very low budget, but it was a beautiful place where we were, and I have a good memory of that.
How did you get to be an assistant in the art department for Creature?
So that was when Dan was working for New World Pictures first, and then we both started working for a production company called Private Stock Effects.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Bill Malone was the director, and we were hired. Dan was the set decorator. Mike Novotny was the production designer, and Dan was the art director, and then I was helping out with set decoration. Mm-hmm. And so that was hard. That was really, really a tough shoot. I felt like it was about 4 weeks, and we had some 16-hour days, and we worked in a warehouse that was, set up to look like part of it was a spaceship, and part of it was like the surface of a planet. And the poor actor that played the creature was in this huge rubber suit. It sort of looked like it looked a little bit like the creature from Alien.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt like it was August in North Hollywood. And so that was that was really a tough gig. But you said you're a friend of Diane?
Diane Salinger and Marie Lauren, yes.
Yeah. So that's great. I thought she was sort of just like a queen, man. That woman is so statuesque and just commanding. So, but Klaus Kinski was that was the craziest, because he would literally, like the makeup, the woman that was the makeup artist wanted to quit because he couldn't keep his hands off her breasts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how out of control he was. And he just thought that he could do that, that he had the right to do that. And she's like, I'm walking off the set,
Yeah.
So they had to keep talking to him and teaching him basic etiquette.
Yeah, Diane told me about the sexual harassment she endured from him, but she actually told me she never forgot the acting advice he gave her, that she looks at that as a positive experience. But I've talked to Tony McClure, who worked with him on Crawl Space, and she said that, he was just pretty much a stalker to her on that film. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's definitely one of those men that, she's got a mental problem, He's got a mental and emotional problem. So, dangerous to people.
Yeah, it's sad.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad, but yeah, I'm good friends with Diane and Marie. My mom and I met up with them, not together, separately, last spring, and my mom talks to Diane like almost every night, and Marie, oh my God, Marie loves my dirty jokes. Like every time we talk, she's like, "Hey Tommy, you got one for me?"
Oh good.
Yeah, but you're you're a real Renaissance woman because you've done all these different things. You've written what 300 one-person shows.
So I've actually I would call it dramaturged and directed actually well over 500 now. It's probably closer to 700 because I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
Teaching playwriting and performing the one-person show. And so, along with all of my students at USC and the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, along with the professional actors that I've had the pleasure of working with, and some of my plays have gone to New York and to the Edinburgh Festival in Germany. It has become my specialty, and I think it's just the ability to sit in a room with an artist, even if it's a very new artist. By the way, I taught in a women's prison for 3 years.
Wow.
And I taught playwriting and acting in a women's prison. And to sit with people in a room and in a non-judgmental way ask the right questions and help them shape the events of their life into a piece of art. I've become fairly good at that.
You sure have. Of all these jobs you do, which one is your most satisfying?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. Oh gosh, that's so hard to answer. I feel like it's a toss-up between helping a person that didn't think they had a good story, take it to the stage, and even become an award winner, or playing a role like Blanche Dubois. It's a toss-up because when you lift somebody up and you help them shape themselves into an artist, it's just like the happiness from that doesn't go away. But again, I still feel like certain roles that I've played are in me. They're like in the molecules of my body, and we learn compassion from the characters that we play.
Yeah.
I have gratitude. So, I'm really blessed. When I go into the classroom, I have a smile on my face because I'm like, okay, guys, here we go. Here we go. What's going to happen today?
Yeah. Oh my God. And I'm sure that they are just in awe of you when you're teaching them.
Well, they taught me, Thank you for saying that. But they taught me. I think I've, through the years, kind of moved out some of my rough spots, and you learn when to keep your mouth shut, and you learn when to gingerly offer guidance.
Mm-hmm.
It's intuitive. People have told me I'm a very intuitive director. I would say so because I don't have a formula for how to create a well-made play. I think everybody has an innate, very original uniqueness in them, and I try to follow that.
Mm-hmm. So is this your first convention appearance you're going to be doing?
No, I think this is about my fifth.
Oh, so you're still relatively new to it.
I am, yeah. I don't go on them very often because I have to be able to get away. I have to, can I really get a sub this week? Is my time away going to be worth the trade-off for me not being in the classroom with my students?
Mm-hmm. Do you ever do one in California?
I did Comic-Con years ago in San Diego.
Oh, I heard that con is insane.
It is. Well, I did it years ago before it was too insane, but it was still pretty huge, but I don't know that I would go again just because it's so packed.
Yeah. It's too popular.
Yeah. But guess what? So I have the Classic Cult Convention coming up this weekend.
Yes.
And then I'm going to go back to Austin in March for the South by Southwest because I've got a small role in a new movie.
Ooh, nice. Nice. Is it
Yeah.
a good part?
Well, yeah. Well, it's a small role, but here's the story behind it. So I was hired last year to play a hospice nurse in a public service announcement.
Right.
And the young man who hired me and directed this was a USC grad. And we were talking during the break, and I was like, oh, I teach at USC. He goes, oh, that's so cool, and, thanks for doing this. And I said, I really like your project. And I said, so what's next for you? And he goes, well, it looks like I'm going to make my horror film. I go, oh, you like horror films? He goes, I love it. They're my favorite. And I said, well, I was in a couple. And he goes, which ones? And I tentatively tell people
the
Slumber Party Massacre, because that title can either lighten people up or turn them away. And he goes, what? I said, the Slumber Party Massacre. And he goes, are you kidding me? And he rolls up his sleeves, and on his forearm, he has tattooed the drill.
Oh.
So we just looked at each other and laughed, and I said, tell me about your film. He goes, you don't even realize what this means to me. It was really inspired by your movie. It takes place at a in a fraternity in a college, and it's called Dem Banger, DEMBANGER. And I was like, what does that mean? And he goes, that's the name of the symbol for an exclamation point. And it's these frat guys that dose girls and rape them.
Yeah.
And then one by one, they start getting killed off. And it's a very strong female film. And you're going to love it. You're going to love it. So guess what? They submitted it last year. I am just playing a college, like an administrator in the college. And because it was so sweet, he was like, I wish I had known about you before, but would have put you in a bigger part. But now, I feel like we'll work together again.
Oh.
Anyway, so they sent it out, and North by Northwest, huge festival, they're having a special midnight show of this film.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm going to be going back. I'm going back to Texas in March.
Wow. I hope that works out for you. I'm going to LA in May because I go to the horror convention Monsterpalooza every year, and I'm going to my first Hollywood show too.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me know when you're in town.
I sure will. Yeah, because I always meet up with guests and stuff whenever I'm in town now, and I'm just so lucky. Deborah, there's this game that I like to play with guests, and it's kind of like the anti James Lipton questionnaire on Inside the Actor Studio. It's this is perfect for you. Slumber Party questions.
Okay.
And how this works is, I ask you the question, you answer it, and then you ask me the exact same question, and I answer it.
Okay.
Okay. Deborah, are you ticklish?
Yes. Tommy, are you ticklish?
I am baby ticklish, yes. What is your favorite part of the body?
Oh, gosh. There's so many. Top of my head. Tommy, what's your favorite part? What's your favorite part of the body?
Oh, that's interesting. Top of the head. I love the belly button.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you contemplate your belly button?
Only when I've eaten too much.
I like that answer.
Tommy, do you contemplate your belly button?
Every day. What color are your toenails painted?
My toenails are painted au natural.
All natural.
They're clean, though. They're clean. Let me just say this. They're clean.
Nice.
Tommy, what color are your toenails painted?
They're not painted right now, but usually when they are, they're very bright colors I use. Like the last time I had them painted, they were purple with sparkles.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Yes. And then my favorite question, is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Yeah, there's a couple. Let's see, the stinkiest stink. Oh gosh, recently.
Uh-huh.
Potatoes that were too old.
Oh.
Old potatoes. Bad smell.
That's a popular one. I hear that one quite often.
Yeah, yeah. Tommy, what's a really stinky smell that makes you gag?
Either farts or feet.
It's true. The human body can create a lot of, kind of noxious fumes.
Yeah.
It's true. Mm-hmm.
I had pretty bad athlete's foot when I got out of the hospital, and it took a while to get rid of it, but it was pretty bad.
Well, thank you for being honest.
My pleasure. Before you go, can I tell you a joke really quick?
Yeah.
You know the difference between a golf ball and a G-spot?
I should, once you tell me what it is.
It takes a man 20 minutes to find a golf ball.
I love that. That's great. That's great. Very good.
Thank you, thank you. Deborah, this has been such an amazing honor. Thank you for coming on today, and I hope you have a wonderful time in Texas, and I will let you know when I come to town.
Tommy, what a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for reaching out to me.
Oh, my pleasure. You have yourself a great night over there.
Thank you so much. Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Debra De Liso. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Deborah. You're just an amazing, strong, insightful lady. And those students are very lucky to have you. And we have so much in common. I can't wait to meet you in person. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.